You're watching Durango News, celebrating Southwest Colorado every day.
Opponents of the proposed village at Wolf Creek head to Washington to protest a recent land swap decision by the Forest Service.
Community volunteers get up before dawn to count bird populations in the Oxbow Preserve. Find out what they learned.
And local kids learn to fly through the air on their bicycles. We head to the BMX tracks to find out why the sport is so popular. I'm Ashley Dixon.
And I'm Jordan Alexander. These stories and more coming up next on this edition of Durango TV News.
This program is brought to you by Advantage Dodge Ram Chrysler Jeep at 20th and Main in Farmington. Visit today for your best deal.
You're watching Durango TV News. I'm Ashley Dixon.
And I'm Jordan Alexander. The battle against the village at Wolf Creek escalated into war in mid-June when environmental groups filed a lawsuit in federal court against the U.S. Forest Service and then traveled to Washington to meet with the Colorado congressional delegates and administration officials to raise awareness about the environmental threat. They hope the lawsuit and lobbying efforts will stop a development that eventually could house up to 10,000 people in pristine meadows adjacent to the Wolf Creek ski area. In May, Rio Grande Forest Supervisor Dan Dallas approved a land exchange that would give Texas billionaire Red McCombs access from US Highway 160 to his property on the top of Wolf Creek Pass. The modified parcel is several hundred acres in size. The approval and subsequent lawsuit are the latest developments in a 30-year saga that started when the Forest Service approved a 1986 land exchange between private property in Saguache County and the parcel next to the ski area. Jimbo Buick-Arud, public land specialist with the San Juan Citizens Alliance in Durango, said that even then the exchange was controversial. The newly created private holding at Wolf Creek was surrounded by public land.
An important piece of this, of course, is that the parcel does not adjoin Highway 160, and that has been a piece of contention, analysis, and so forth for decades, as we know.
Rio Grande Forest Supervisor Dan Dallas told Durango TV News last month that he approved the second land exchange adjacent to the highway because the exchange itself didn't harm the environment. Dallas also explained that his decision was limited to the impact of the land exchange itself. Only the Mineral County Commissioners have jurisdiction over the development, not the Forest Service. But the San Juan Citizens Alliance, Friends of Wolf Creek, and other environmental groups that filed the lawsuit say the Forest Service does have the opportunity to consider the development's impact in its land exchange ruling, and ignoring the development violated the National Environmental Protection Act. The land exchange analysis is too narrow in its scope. Opponents maintain that the impacts of potential development should have been the primary focus of the analysis. Buick-Arud said that the Washington representatives they met also wondered why the analysis of the land exchange was so limited.
I will say that I was just in Washington, D.C. the last few days talking to administration officials and our delegation, and that reality is not lost on other people. When they've looked at the documents, they've looked at the history and so forth, most of them, and they did ask a lot of questions, but most of them were wondering why the scope of that analysis was so narrow.
Buick-Arud wouldn't speculate on the outcome of the lawsuit or any potential remedies to protect the parcel on Wolf Creek Pass. But he did say that the San Juan Citizens Alliance and supporters will continue to fight the village at Wolf Creek. To follow developments on the village at Wolf Creek, visit the San Juan Citizens Alliance at sanjuancitizens.org. The Start of Music in the Mountains Classical Music Festival is just around the corner. Up next, Ashley Dixon visits with Angie Beach and Gregory Hustis to find out what this year's event will offer.
This program is brought to you by Advantage Dodge Ram Chrysler Jeep at 20th and Main in Farmington. Visit today for your